Well, it seems like somebody got the same idea as me. Of course, they did it worse and offered a bunch of insane takes on mods.
Welcome to SAS mods.
Like, 3BA isn't lore friendly and crashes your game.
Very popular mod that many people are using, and this is the 3BA body mod. The problem with this body mod is that, first of all, it is going to require you to have a very high-end system, and if you don't have a modern CPU, it is going to completely destroy your game with massive amounts of frame drops. Secondary, it doesn't feel lore friendly, so I will highly recommend you to replace 3BA with something much more both vanilla friendly and friendly for your Skyrim.
First off, are you saying NPCs looking like they were carved out of a 300-year-old sycamore is lore-friendly? The graphics limitations of the time was why they look like that. Also, the body mod is one of the least graphically demanding things you can download. Similarly, they say don't use Dynalod and use community shaders instead.
Dynalod. I have to say, guys, generating load for Skyrim, it has been the most messier things I have ever done in my life. In Skyrim, you will have to be at least an astronaut. Installing this is a pain in the ass. It's going to cause many crashes of its own. Has its own preload lighting, aka generation, with a few of patches here and there to make your load look as good as possible without having to do all of this work that Dynalod does.
The mods don't do the same thing. Dynalod creates distant objects like trees for all of Skyrim, or whatever world space you select. So when you look off into the distance, you actually see stuff instead of empty space. Community shaders affects the lighting and graphical effects, and that tree LOD mod uses already generated LODs and applies community shader effects onto them. Dynalod is slightly difficult, and it takes a while to generate LODs, but it's worth it. And there's no replacement mod. Dude, why do you even mod at all? Life isn't without risk. And this isn't even risk, and also some things worth doing aren't exactly easy. With all that being said, I'm going to offer you some new mods to delete today. The video series I referenced in the beginning mentions interesting NPCs as something to avoid because it adds NPCs. But if you know me from my more NPCs than your Skyrim can handle video, I love populating Skyrim with tons of NPCs. To be honest, just don't overdo it. That's when problems start. Interesting NPCs does have a rogue script that runs constantly, and I listed the script fix in the description. With this next one, I'm sacrificing a sacred cow of my own. The only reason not to use CGO is to use MCO. Granted, that is a big reason. And the fact that CGO needs 3 mods to replace it says something. Some people say it means it had feature bloat, but I think it was revolutionary. But CGO doesn't work with MCO. Delete CGO. For the dodge, use TK Dodge RE or DMCO. For the grip switch, use the newly created dual-wield Revolution. For procedural leaning, get CGO Stripped. And now you can get MCO, which uses behaviors and or DAR to have chains of attacks, and you're free to assign more conditions like any other DAR/OR mod. Delete deadly spell impacts. It's old, which is not necessarily a problem, but it doesn't play well with audio overhauls, and according to the mod page, it's prone to crashes. Also, it doesn't have a bug page and isn't currently supported. Frozen Electrocuted Combustion is still supported loosely by a power of 3. But honestly, if you don't care about extremely flashy effects and already have it, Maximum Carnage also has a few spell effects, on top of all the other things it does. Open Cities just got a massive update and re-upload. Back in the old days, Arthmore created one for each city, and it was a compatibility nightmare. It's a noble idea, making it so all the major cities just don't have load screens and exist in the same world space as the rest of Skyrim, but it is also incompatible with anything that adds anything to the closed cities. So if you want a vanilla plus game with open cities, it could be really cool. I'll choose my overhauled closed cities, thanks. Some people complain when every section isn't a delete this, but some old mods are actually still good. But I present new alternatives to old mods. For example, Death Alternative is a little old. It puts you into a number of situations when you die and has add-ons. Just like Alternate Start, it still works, but you should consider Shadow of Skyrim, which does a similar thing, but also adds in a nemesis system, similar to Shadow of War. When you die, the dude who kills you steals some of your stuff and also gets a big buff, so he becomes your nemesis. And you get a debuff, related to how you died. Enhanced Blood Textures has a lot of bugs reported that cause CTDs. This one doesn't really have a replacement, but on the bright side, there is a new version included that uses SPID, which tends to be much more stable, especially on script-heavy saves. Use the SPID version and use it with caution. This is a random mention, and I've said this before, but if you want to add mods mid-playthrough, or really whenever you add any mod, you need to test them. Because sometimes hours later, you can get a random CTD and you don't even know what it's from. All modding carries some form of risk. Organized Bandits in Skyrim adds 2,500 bandits to Skyrim and gives them all sorts of new classes and types. Now, this mod also still works. I still use it. However, it makes bandits into a formidable fighting force that can have their own side in the Civil War. If that's what you want, go ahead and use it. But you may also consider asking the bandits to deal with Alduin for you. Lawless is an alternative. It hand places a much lower number of bandits and has many patches, including adding bandits to BS Bruma. That's Beyond Skyrim Bruma. The notice board, created in Skyrim's infancy by Manny GT, the same guy who made Grey Caleb Nocturnal, still technically works. However, it has a few problems. They aren't localized, the quest that is. Sometimes they give you a mission to go to restricted NPCs, you just can't get to them. You can't quit the quests if you need to, and there's no indication of how difficult the quests are. Missives adds a similar board to each city and gets rid of these issues. Also, Sidequests of Skyrim allows you to get Radiant side quests directly from NPCs, and they don't conflict. Technically, you can install all three and have an infinite number of MMO-style random things to do in Skyrim. Now you can play forever! Last mod, Power of Three's tweaks, one of the base mods and bug fixes most people should be using for any modded or slightly modded Skyrim, supersedes the following mods: Jumping Bonus Fix, No Attack Messages, Disable God Mode, and Player Grab Stealing. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you found this helpful. Just a click for you, but for me, it means infinite breadsticks at my local Olive Garden. Happy modding.